recruiting for consulting, chatting with recruiters, or actual consultants, you've probably seen management consulting painted as this glamorous, high-flying world of six-figure salaries and solving big problems. But today, we are going beyond the veil. The common belief is that if you are smart, hardworking, and you went to a top-tier school, consulting is the gold standard first step for your career. Told that this is the ultimate way to build a network, start your career, and learn how to think. But the truth is that for a specific type of person, consulting is a fast track to burnout and professional identity crisis. If you're thinking about becoming a consultant, there are a few things that you should probably know before you go down that route. While consulting can be an incredible career, it is definitely not for everyone. I worked at McKinsey & Company, the most prestigious management consulting firm in the world, to rising to the position of engagement manager, and I've seen this play out firsthand. I've worked entire cohorts of brilliant people get quietly pushed out, not because they were not smart, because they did not fit the culture and nature of the firm. There are a few patterns that show up again and again in folks who don't do well. So in this video, I'm breaking down the 5 specific warning signs that consulting may not be the right career for you. So if even a few of these resonate with you, I encourage you to do a deeper dive into whether or not consulting may be truly right for you. It may save you a lot of stress and frustration down the road. The first sign is something that surprises a lot of people, but is key to whether or not you actually sink or thrive within your first year. And that is the opportunity trap. Consulting firms are full of opportunities. You can serve diverse companies, work in different locations, travel abroad, champion a cause, and even work with incredible people. It's one of the things that makes consulting so great, and you should definitely take advantage of it. However, not all opportunities are created equal. These are usually framed as great development opportunities. They'll typically be presented to you by your sponsors, maybe a manager you really enjoyed working with, potential sponsor you're cultivating, or your local office leadership. Naturally, there's a massive amount of pressure to say yes. But if you say yes to everything, you would eventually burn out. Consulting runs on networking, and the core component of a strong network is the value its members bring to the table. When you're new to management consulting and you're trying to build your network, you will feel immense pressure to add value. So you find yourself volunteering to help people with their side quests. And let me tell you, people at these firms always have side quests because they are also building their networks. Let's assume, for example, I'm your engagement manager. I'm building my network with partners and senior partners. Now, these partners that I'm building my network with, they also have side quest. Maybe they are trying to bring in a new client by developing proposals. Build my network with them. I volunteer to help them with those proposals. You are an associate on my project. You like working with me and you're trying to cultivate me as a sponsor. So you ask me, is there anything I can help you with? What do? I'm also overworked. So I pass the proposal down to you to help me do the initial legwork and data gathering. So that's how it works. The people you work with have side quests. The firm itself will also ask you to lead an internal project. If you struggle to say no and you end up saying yes to everything, you will quickly find that there is absolutely zero limit to the amount of work that will land on your plate. It becomes a massive problem because you are already working full-time and nobody is going to say, hey, take time from your client's deliverables because you are busy doing work from the firm. Nobody is going to do that. Everybody is going to expect you to deliver on both your client deliverables as well as all these other side quests because they are good opportunities for you. And that's why successful consultants learn something very early. You have to be strategic about what you say yes to. To successfully build your network, you will need to say yes to side quests. You will need to support your network in one way or the other. Truly, some opportunities will strengthen your network. Some will help you build relationship with sponsors, but others will simply drain your time. If you struggle with setting boundaries, the firm will set it for you. Sponsors will set it for you. You have to be mechanical with your time. You must learn how to say no without burning bridges. Setting boundaries is not even the hardest part. Wait until you see how you have to fight just to keep your seat at the table. Management consulting is the survival of the loudest. Consulting firms are extremely competitive environment, and being successful in consulting is not just about doing good work. It's about making sure that everybody knows that you're doing the work. Part of success in consulting is visibility. You would absolutely fail if you do not stand out and show your unique vibe. Why? Because you are constantly competing with your peers for projects, promotions, and the intention of leadership. Partners decide who gets staffed on the best projects. They decide who gets sponsorship. They influence promotions. Succeeding at at the firm basically comes down to three things: do great work, build sponsors, and impress your clients. It sounds easy, right? But here's the catch. Before you can do number one, you need to actually get the work to be able to do the work. So how do you get put on the best project? You have to understand the staffing process. There's something I absolutely wished somebody had told me before I joined the firm. And I actually made a separate video about the things I wished people had told me before joining management consulting. I'll link that up here somewhere for you to go and watch. But knowing this would have materially changed my experience. To do great work, you need to be put on great projects. And the process of getting staffed looks something like this. You are on the beach, which means you are available. You reach out to your staffing manager and ask what's going on. Maybe they put your name up for a few opportunities and then you wait. Sometimes they may tell you that the pipeline is quiet and there's nothing right now. So what do? Reach out to your network. You message anyone you've worked with before and you ask, I'm available. Do you have any leads? You do that as many times as you need until somebody reaches out and say, hey, how are you doing? I'm staffing a 6-week project and somebody give me your name. Are you free to chat? Now, this is where it gets interesting. You might expect that once a project becomes available, you get staffed on it based on your resume or your past work. But no, to get on a project, you need to go through an internal interview process. They don't call it an interview, but that is exactly what it is. You get on a call with a manager, you introduce yourself, they tell you about the project, they ask you, if you're interested, you answer, they ask you the skills that you have, and they tell you that you'll get back to you. What they don't tell you is that they're having the exact same call with multiple people. The manager may have 3, 4, 5 of the same staffing call. I know this because I was an engagement manager and I did it multiple times. Before I even tell you there's an opportunity, I'm already evaluating you and dropping you if I do not think that you are a good fit. Speak to a number of people and I'll provide a number of names to the partner. The partner may decide to speak to those people as well after I've spoken to them, and then they will make a final recommendation for who they think I should, go with. I may say, oh, these are 5 names, I want to go with this person, and they'll say, okay, yes, I also spoke to this person and I like them. By the time you eventually get staffed, you've gone through an intense internal interview, and the people you worked with previously have had to vouch for you. To get the project, you need people who are willing to speak highly of you and basically recommend you for that project. Success at the firm is not just about performing well. It's about building an echo chamber of trust around you. You need people in the firm who know you, trust you, and want to work with you over and over again. And remember, you are competing with your friends and your fellow associates for the exact same opportunities. I've seen people hide who they are working with or what they are doing to maintain an edge over their own peers. Quiet, humble workers are usually the very first to be sidelined. If you hate office politics or you hate the idea of pitching yourself to partners every Monday until you find a project, then you will find the environment suffocating. The third warning trap is what I'm calling the perpetual amateur trap. One thing people underestimate about consulting is just how dynamic the job is. You may be working on a tech strategy project this month, and then the next month you're inside a factory helping redesign operations. On paper, it sounds exciting. New industries, new problems, new challenges, flying to London today, tomorrow you're going to Dubai. But here is the reality. You are almost always the new guy. You are constantly learning new industries, new clients, new teams, new problems. When you finally start to feel comfortable, the project ends and you have to start again. You never get the satisfaction of being the go-to expert in a room because the moment you understand the project is over. You get great at learning how to learn, and you'll often feel like you're actually good at nothing. This can be a big deal. Like, this is one that can affect your professional self-confidence a lot. You get very, very good with bouncing, from one thing to another and landing on your feet. Downside is something people don't talk about enough, and it's that you rarely feel like you've mastered anything. 3 years, 4 years, and feel like, what am I good at? If your goal is stability or being known as the expert in a specific area, consulting can feel frustrating. I'm not saying that it is impossible to build expertise. It just takes a considerably long time, and it requires you to do the same thing over and over and over again before you can build that expertise. But unfortunately for you, you are not in control of how many reps you get at one problem, because the job constantly resets you back to beginner mode. And this may be something that you like. I personally enjoy that process of learning a new thing. I enjoy the process of going from project to project and seeing one problem from different angles. This may not be a cup of tea for everyone. After a while, it gets old. One of the reasons why I left consulting was being in professional services for close to a decade. I'd done it over and over and over. I'd gone to multiple projects over and over, and I just got tired. I got tired of being the new person in the the room. I wanted to feel like I knew what I was doing, and I knew that eventually I would get there, but again, it wasn't really in my control. And so this is one that you really want to watch for, especially if you are coming from a technical background. Maybe you are a scientist, you have a PhD in something, and you're used to being the expert in something. Except you recruit directly into a function with your defined expertise. If you decide to become a generalist, you may struggle with this notion of being a perpetual beginner, a perpetual amateur. Now, constantly changing is not the only challenge, and that's why this next point catches many people off guard. Consulting is a people business. Every project comes with teammates, new client, a new manager, and new expectations. And where your success often depends less on what you know and more on how well you work with people. Clients need to trust you. They need to enjoy working with you. Your team needs to have a good positive experience working with you. If a client doesn't want you on a project, the firm will often replace you, bring in somebody else to the project. Your internal network also matters. As I explained a few minutes ago, to get started on a project, you need people that have worked with you in the past recommend you, for a new project. And so it is very important that on every team that you work on, you get along with those people and they enjoy working with you. The consultants who advance tend to have strong relationship across the firm with different partners in different segments. They know partners, they know managers, they know who is doing interesting work. They know what the firm is up to next. If networking, relationship building, and constantly interacting with new people makes you uncomfortable, then consulting can be a tough environment. And here's one part that many people overlook, especially when you're just recruiting and trying to enter into consulting. When you're recruiting, especially if you recruited through business school or undergrad, you would have gone to a number of networking events. Now, people think that these networking events are just part of the recruiting process. But because consulting is a people business, many consulting firms continue to have constant networking events, internal meetings, and relationship building activities. Team dinners, end of year parties, Friday, compulsory come to the office. So if you naturally avoid this situation, you may struggle more than others. And I'm saying this with the introverts in mind. But even if you agree with people, another major factor you need to consider is that the work is busy, it's tiring, and you actually may just be burnt out. You may be too tired from working that the last thing that you have on your mind is networking. And so even if you naturally enjoy working with people, because you're already working so much doing the actual work, you may not be able to say yes to every networking opportunity. You may not be able to say yes to every team dinner. And so there will always be that sense of FOMO, like, am I missing out on something? If you don't get a project that you really wanted, you may have that sneaky feeling of like, oh, is it because I did not spend time building a relationship with this other person? So there's always that tug and pull between how much do you want to invest in networking and just like doing people's stuff versus like doing the work, building your expertise, and taking care of yourself. And then the last one is work-life balance. Consulting can be very demanding. You have a massive problem, a lot of data, a very wide scope, and you have a short amount of time to crunch and get the work done. You always feel like you're overworked. So that's one thing that every consultant that I know always feels. I've never seen someone saying, hey, I'm just coasting and I'm enjoying myself here. Deadlines move quickly, expectations are high, and everything can feel urgent. And the work doesn't really stop. Along with your client project, you are expected to also help with recruiting, writing proposals, mentoring junior staff, planning, a connectivity event, planning a firm event. All these things are going on, left and right, as well as you trying to build your network. And then when you add travel on top of that, you have flights, bad hotels, delays. Now with the TSA issue, oh my God, delays. I've been at the airport till 3 a.m. Multiple delays. Some people love this piece. Some people want to just like go as hard as you can. And honestly, I get it. Again, I did it. I was management consulting for a while. I was in professional services for a while. So really, I'm not really knocking on people who like this lifestyle. I'm someone who wanted to do this. In my 20s, I wanted to maximize my earning potential and gain as much experience. If you're one of those people, more power to you, and this does not apply to you. But if your priority is predictable hours, having consistent work-life balance, consulting may not be the best fit for you. And that is something that is important to ask yourself. Like, be very honest with yourself. Don't get caught into the allure, the shiny, blingy, oh, consulting is this. Be very honest with yourself. How much can you realistically sacrifice for the promise of this great career that you are trying to build? And if after going through this entire video, you realize that, come on, I can handle all these things, then you are the perfect person that we're looking for in consulting. It can be a rewarding career. There's this saying that 1 year in consulting equals 2 years in industry, because you are working so fast, exposed to so many different, problems, projects, people. If you truly immerse yourself in the experience, the learning opportunities can be astronomical. But if any of these points scared you, made you feel like I'm not doing that, then maybe consulting is not for you. And there's no shame in that. There are many other career opportunities that will be very rewarding for you, where you can learn, make money, and build a enjoyable career for yourself. It's all really all about being honest with yourself. Still not convinced, then maybe you should watch my video about why I quit consulting. That may give you a broader understanding for why somebody who spent over a decade in professional services and got to the height of it, working at the global management consulting firm, decided to quit after getting a promotion. I'll link that video somewhere here for you to go and watch. Thank you for coming to my channel. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Bye.